Hi everyone, welcome to episode 42 of Mother Industrialist live show where we talk about entrepreneurship, parenting, and life. I'm Kenneth Chew, the host, and I'm also the author of Mother Industrialist, Perfecting the Balance Between Motherhood and Business Success. And this is my book, Mother Industrialist. So in my book itself, I've interviewed 15 mompreneurs that I personally know for the past 10 years and also featured their inspiring story in my book. At the same time, I also share with the readers that you can use the 3 P's, which is the 3 pillars for you to kickstart your business, which is passion, purpose, and profit. So with these 3 P, you are able to have the blueprint of entrepreneurship. At the same time, I also share with them how they can kickstart with their business using these 3 P on a part-time basis so that they will not need to give up on their job. But today, I have really have this really good guest, really awesome guest that I've just connected with her recently, and she is really inspiring because she's really courageous as she's a new mompreneur, and at the same time she's a founder of Learning ArtZ School. Later you can ask her what she will share with you what school is has she founded, and she's also a mother of 2 beautiful children. So without further ado, let us welcome Sharon.
Hello,
Hi, Sharon.
everybody. Hi, Kenneth. Hello.
Hi, welcome, and thanks for making time to come onto my show. And really glad that you can make it on time. And with some technical stuff, we are able to connect now. So, which is good. Thanks for making time. As in fact, you are the first mompreneur that really did the homework. You watched the previous episode. So, as I mentioned in the previous episode, and all the episode is there's a tradition that every guest get to pose a question of the day out to the audience and also to the next guest. So are you ready to answer the question of the day posted by the previous guest before we can officially kickstart with the show?
Oh, I must say that Lillian really gave me a very hard question to answer.
No problem. So now I would share with everybody what is the question of the day. The question of the day posted by the previous guest is, what does courage and influence means to you? And what do you do with it? So have some time to think about it while I go onto our Facebook Live to check if we are live successfully, and we'll come back to you. Is it okay?
Okay.
Okay, good. So I see someone coming on live. Say hi. Let us know
Hello.
where you are tuning from. Okay, now I can hear my voice. Now waiting for your part. Okay. Okay, good. Can hear your voice. Good. Now we can come back to you. So are you ready with your answer to the question of the day, Sharon? Or you need some time?
Okay. I would say that basically courage to me is, not giving up even though you feel like giving up. And courage is something that you really need to, ask for help. For me personally, because I am not a very courageous person. To be honest, I am also kind of risk averse previously. So, in fact, to me, later on after my sharing, you'll probably know that who is the person who actually gives me the courage to go on. And it's really, if it's not him, I don't think I can really, live out my dreams, live out my beliefs and all that. Okay. So influence to me is how to be a positive influence in my community, especially in my family, how I can influence my daughters to be people with good character, good moral values. Because to me, that's more important than academic achievements. Because I always feel that if they don't give up, if they try their best, they can succeed in life. That's what I believe in. So yeah.
That's good. That's a very good answer to the question of the day. And now we can officially kickstart the show. And just now you mentioned about, in fact, you're not courageous, but something in fact affected you, and it brings us to our topic of the day, which is how faith and love drives me in my business. So before we start, I think maybe Sharon can do a short introduction of yourself to share with the audience and the listeners Who are you? Where are you from? And what were you doing prior to setting up your business? Because we have audience all around the world, from US, UK, and even Philippines. So
Okay.
maybe you can do a short introduction of yourself.
Okay. Before I actually start out the learning arts business, I was actually a stay-at-home mom for about close to 5 years. I took a career break from my previous headhunting life. I was in headhunting for about 15 years, 1 5.
Hmm.
So I was working with firms like Hudson, Ferry. I was also on site at Apple as a on-site staffing consultant for about 16 months. But what drives me to take a career break was when I found out that back then my eldest daughter, she was about 6 years old, she was displaying a lot of behavioral issues. So she was very incooperative, she doesn't want to go to school. She basically had social interaction issues.
Hmm.
And I was staying with my mom-in-law back then, and my mom-in-law was like saying that maybe it's time you bring her for some assessment. And that's where I found out that she has sensory processing disorder. And we then make the hard decision of me taking the time off to help her through that difficult process, because I needed to spend time with her to help her to cope with some of these issues, like, be it relating socially, some of behaviors that may trigger some concerns and stuff like that. So I took that career break, and then shortly after that, I had my second child, and she was later on. Even though at a very young age of close to 2 years old, I suspected that she may have some dyslexia issue, and I was right. But the earliest age that you could diagnose someone with dyslexia in Singapore is about 6 years old. So we went through that with Dyslexia Association of Singapore. We did the full assessment, and then we found out that she's actually mild dyslexic. So with two children, two girls with special needs, I have no choice but to take a almost 5 years career break. So from then, I would say that I did not regret my decision. In fact, it was a journey that that I've learned a lot. Um, it was painful, but it was also a very enriching journey that I went through, where I learned how to deal with some of these difficulties. And it's also a journey where I would say that it makes me a better mother. Because I used to work very, very long hours. I used to come home like close to 9 o'clock. And because if you need to interview people, sometimes people only can meet you, like candidates can only come in to meet you after work.
Yep.
So by the time you wrap up and all that, you reach home, it's about 9+. And I always try to make it a point that I will reach home before my daughters go to bed, just to say goodnight to them. So it wasn't a very easy journey to go through. But from there, I start to read. I start to pick up books from the library to find out more about the condition, how I can better support them as a mother. I would say that it's also a very humbling experience, because that's where you realize that you don't know enough.
Yep.
And it's always a journey that you have to just pick up more information, find out from people, talk to people. And I think at the point, what really kept me going was really prayers and support from my spiritual family. They prayed for us. I remember in the early days when we start talking about our daughters, we will break down, because we are really totally helpless in terms of how to help them and stuff like that. But through the years of unconditional love, and I would say pressing on in prayers and all that, I see improvements in them, really great improvements. So say, for example, for my eldest daughter, by P4, we realized that she's got this condition called Asperger's, but now they call it autism spectrum disorder. So she's high functioning autistic. So she's very bright. She could write very well, but she does have certain areas that may be lacking in terms of like her emotional development. She may be behind some of her peers. So for instance, also she has very little tolerance towards lights. So if you put her in a very bright lighting condition or like on stage and all that, she will be very uncomfortable. She may even have emotional meltdowns and stuff like that. Okay, but what actually encourages me a great deal was when I choose to listen to her, and I choose to let her open up her concerns, her fears, whether be rational, irrational fears. I let her talk to me about it, and from there we actually built a very, very strong relationship. And she has also over time begin to learn to cope with some of her challenges. So she's actually right now in concert band, and then in concert band you need to perform on stage.
Yep.
And you have all the lights shining on you, you have all the attention on you, and that's not something that she's very comfortable with, but she learned to cope with it by wearing sunglasses. So I know that maybe if you're sitting in the audience and you look towards the stage and you see this girl in sunglasses and she really stick out, and then you must be wondering what's wrong with her and things like that. But last Friday when I saw her on stage, or actually two Fridays ago, when I saw her on stage performing my favorite song from La Misérable musical, I was very, very moved. I was nearly moved to tears, because to me, I saw the hours, I saw the commitment, I saw the efforts that she put in practicing her horn. And she put in a lot of efforts, and she has zero band or zero Chinese orchestra background when she was in primary school. She wasn't in any of the, like a band, CCA or things like that. And she got, accepted into the CCA. So she has to put in a lot more efforts than her peers. And she has to deal with the discomfort of dealing with the lights and all that. So to me, that was a great achievement. To me, that was something that she chose to step out of her comfort zone, and that really encourages me. So with regards to my second daughter, I mentioned that she has dyslexia issue, right? So when we kept encouraging her over the years to read and all that, now she developed a love for reading. And in fact, her teacher at Julia Gabriel, the same teacher who taught her for the last 2.5 years, actually shared with me. She was very excited. She said that, do you know that Sarah's essay has been picked up? And I put it on the board because it was so well written. To me, that was a great achievement. It is because I know she had some learning challenges, and for her to be able to stand up among her peers, people with no learning challenges issue, I think that's a great achievement. Yeah. So for me, is I try to encourage them, and I always tell them that your greatest competition is yourself. Yep. You need to do better than your previous result. I don't need you to compare yourself with your peers, your friends. I just need you to make sure that you give your best shot, and that's good enough for mommy and daddy. So that's how we raise our children. So that's in a nutshell lah. So what I want to share about what has been my journey before I launched Learning ArtZ last year. I actually started Learning ArtZ when because I was going through a lot of difficulty, a lot of challenges, and a very, very stressful lifestyle that I had to juggle and all that. And I started to pick up baking, because that was something that I wanted to do, but I never had a chance to do it when I was working full time. So I picked up baking, and I think my grandma and my mom had some influence in that sense, because when I was young, I liked to be around the kitchen. I like to watch them cook. So in fact, I think my aunts will tell you that, the person who still remembers and know how to cook some of grandma's dishes will be me. So it got passed down to me rather than her daughters. Wow. Yeah. And my mom has dementia, so she won't be able to kind of continue impart some of those culinary
Mm.
skills to me. So that's where I say, okay, never mind. She can't teach me. I'll go learn from other teachers, and then I'll cook for her. And I'm glad I made that decision to pick up baking as a hobby,
Mm.
because it really helped me through with another difficult season of my life. In 2015 October, my mom was diagnosed with liver cancer. So it was again a very, very challenging phase for me that I have to go through. So baking and cooking, attending classes was the time that I can really
Have your
time
me
out
time,
and
yeah.
let my mind relax and enjoy. And it's also that period that I got to bond with a lot of baking kakis, people sharing the same interests and
Yeah.
all that, and foster a lot of
Friendship and
strong friendships and things like that. Yeah. Yeah, so that's that. And then and why learning arts, why I wanted to start learning arts is because I hope to share um this passion with other people, especially providing a haven for people who is suffering from a lot of stress or
yep.
distress, be it family members, relationship, strained relationship with spouse or children. I hope to be able to provide a place where they can bond, they can spend time together, doing something together. Because to me, whenever I smell something coming out of the oven, it always smells so good. It always smells so good. It makes it really lifts up your spirit. So it really lifts up spirit. I mean, it is something that I guess the whole family can do together, because like I shared with you before, kind of,
Yeah.
sometimes like a gym, yes, going to the gym, exercising also can
Mm.
can help to de-stress.
Yes.
And that's something that my husband tries to engage my daughters to do it. But my younger daughter cannot get into the gym because she's still below 12.
Oh.
So the one thing that we all can do as a family, including my mom,
Yeah.
my 80-year-old mom, 80 plus years old
Mm.
mom, is baking lah. She likes
Mm.
to bake as well, as in like she likes my cookies and things like that. So sometimes I will engage her to do things like that. It also helps to keep her brain active lah, because she has got dementia, you see.
Yep.
Yeah, things like that.
I
Yeah.
guess I really have to thank you for sharing it, your story, your challenges as a mother with two special need children, and because it's really courageous and brave for you because now with internet with technology this is going public, and I believe that it will inspire a lot of mommy out there, especially working mom, thinking that I cannot start a business, I cannot have more time with my children, where most of us will have perfectly maybe more not I would say normal children with no special needs, but it shows that it's all possible, that even you start a business, even you have challenges in handling your children, and also at the same time I believe life is like that, like we go through ups and downs, a lot of challenges, like your mom having liver cancer, and like for me recently I have a relative also diagnosed with cancer and going through a very tough time. I guess all of us we need an avenue to vent out, and you creating learning arts and your passion for baking, because when you talk about baking, your face is lit up with all your smile. But when you talk about food, and you mentioned something that okay, gym is very manly thing, and definitely our daughters can come and join. I don't foresee my daughter can join, although she's 9 years old, to come in. And I would say that food is the number one thing that bonds people together, especially baking, if it's cooking. I think food really bring people together, whether you have dementia or not. Food will rekindle all the memories. Like until now, I still miss my mom's cooking and all that. I still remember. So I believe that what you do is out really out for passion, and that's where we talk about the love that drive you in your business. I believe the love of cooking, of baking, and also the love for your family members drive you to set up this business, and it's also very empowering for you to um, have a safe haven for a lot of parents or even mothers, to really have a place for them to vent out, or for them to really have some me time, for them to really don't be so hard on themselves. And baking is really a therapeutic way of relieving stress, I believe. Like for you, it works for you, especially when you go through the tough moments, and baking does help you to vent out and also channel all this stress and pressure. And one thing you talk about, back then when you were working, you were juggling, and I remember you were saying that you have a very nice boss that kind of adjusts your work hours, like from
Correct.
5 days to 4 days, to maybe you can share more on that, because it's really
Yeah.
rare to find that,
Correct,
especially
correct.
in
I
Singapore.
guess my bosses were very supportive. Both of them are Aussie bosses, and then
Mm.
they knew that my daughter has got special needs, and then so they tried to let me work like 4 days. So I do have flexi hours, so I will like sometimes work 3 full days and then 2 half days, and I eventually cut down to 3 days, and then later I move on to another boutique firm, which is with
Mm.
my ex-boss, and she's like it's my third time working for her.
Mm.
She let me work 2.5 days as well, but again, they know me, they know that even though they hire me, my contract says 2.5 days, but I will still get the job done. I'll still meet my sales target.
You
But
still go
it's
an
still very
extra mile,
demanding.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, correct. But the problem is that the hours are still very demanding. So
Mm.
I
Even
will
though it's like
try
two
to
two and
reach
a half
home.
days, yeah.
Correct, correct. I'll try to reach home by 5, because you can't tell the customer, you can't tell a client, dear Mr. Client, actually I am on half day today. If the
I
client
get it.
asks to see you at 3 o'clock, you go down to the office. There's no
Yeah.
question asked. So,
Yeah.
so what I'm saying is that you still work till about 5, and
Mm.
then you go home. You try to spend some time with your kids, and then
Mm.
after that, when they are in bed, then you start typing your report, your candidate report, and stuff like that. So it's still very very long hours. So long term is actually not very good for my health lah. And
Mm.
I will see that most of the time I'm very tired, and then
Mm.
I find that then I I may not have the energy and the patience to work through some difficult situation. Especially
Understand.
my daughter has got issues communication, right? Her communication and her emotional control is quite bad.
Yeah.
So you really need to give her a lot of time. Like I
Mm.
always tell her, I told her, I use the recent performance as an example, dear. I say, dear, you always tell me you cannot change, you cannot adjust yourself, you cannot do all this. You have to live with. You always tell mommy that you have to live with the condition. But I shared with her. I said that, look, from the time we start working with you on your condition, how to cope, how to control your emotional meltdowns and stuff like that, you have shown great improvements. I
Mm.
told her that. I said that it can be done. If you tell me you need 6 years to do it, I'll give you 6 years to do it. You need 16 years to do it, I'll give you 16 years to do it.
Yeah.
Because she's my daughter,
Mm.
and I just want it to be the best mom I can to support her. So
Definitely.
you really need a lot of patience. And if you're very tired, like all mommies will tell you, if you're very tired, you have your reports waiting, your client chasing after you, you really don't have the energy and
Yeah.
the patience to be
Mm.
to do what is needed. But then it's not going to be fair to her. You get what I'm trying to
Correct.
say. So
Yep.
so I wanted to do that. So I took the sacrifice. I took that few years break to spend time with her, to work through some of the
Mm.
issues, and it really paid off.
Mm.
And there's no regret. No regret. The only thing that we probably have to cut back a lot on is our vacation. Meaning you
Mm.
can't go to US, you can't go to Japan or that. So, but the kids have been very understanding. They are fine
Definitely.
with us just going JB, go Malaysia
Yeah,
for
yeah. To them, fun is
they're,
anything.
they're, they're fine. They are quite understanding. Even though, like I say, mommy, my friend is going London this weekend, da, 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 da. But they have no complaints. So I'm quite thankful that way.
Mm.
I'm
Which
really
is
quite
good.
thankful
Which is
that way.
good.
And then recently, during the June holidays, I ran some workshops, right, with the little ones. Like there's 3 groups of 3 to 6,
Mm.
and there's another 3 big groups of 7 to 12. Even though my eldest daughter has very, very little tolerance with young children. She helped me, during the workshop. Throughout the 3 days she was there, she helped me. And then, I mean, to me, that was a very touching thing that she did for me. I think it was a very nice gesture. She did it out of love. And for people with Asperger conditions, they're not very good at expressing their emotions. But when I'm feeling stressed and when I'm feeling down, sometimes if she happen to know about it, she'll come into my bedroom and she'll give me a hug. So I think I really appreciate. And I think for us, especially for Asian, I think we need to learn to
express,
to
show.
look out for the positive stuff. I know that children, they are never perfect. I mean, even for us, we are still
are not
in the
perfect.
process of perfecting ourselves, of becoming better people, but I think we need to give them the chance to learn and grow, not being overly protective, but give them some time to grow and things like that. They are not perfect, so you have to really love them. And sometimes you may have to forgive them, because sometimes when they're upset, they'll say very, very hurtful things to you, because they don't really care and they have very little empathy at times. You go, oh, they don't understand. Yeah, sometimes. Yeah. So that's that lah. So and then it was also in a sense a blessing that when I took that career break, that I could spend more time with my mom. Because when I was working, I didn't have a lot of time to spend with her. And then when she was diagnosed with cancer, even right now, her cancer is getting better. Thank God for that. And and I was very thankful and grateful that when we asked her, because the decision is ultimately hers, whether she wants to go for the clinical trial, whether she wants to try on this new drug called immunotherapy. And she said yes. And remember, she has dementia. I have to explain and run through 3 times. The whole family were there. There were a lot of them who were concerned and say, she's so old, why let her suffer, why let her go through all this. So we ultimately have to leave the decision to her to decide whether she wants to go for the treatment. And surprisingly, to my surprise, she actually said that I will go for it. She was very brave. So she was another great example to me in terms of courage. She was very brave, because before that, when her liver burst, right, tumor burst, she had to go for the operation. She said, what for? Waste money. Just give me the money, bring me for a holiday. That's it, done deal. I forget it. I'm so old. But I was so thankful that she actually went for it. And so the deal that I cut with all my other family members and relatives was, okay, we will try. If she has any side effects, we will stop the treatment right away. We will not let her suffer. But she responded so well. The doctor even said to me many, many times, you've got nothing more you can ask for. She is doing so much better, and patient is half her age, and her tumors are shrinking. I mean, it spread. The condition for her to be accepted into this clinical trial was her cancer must have spread to other organs. Meaning, to the drug company, they have very little risk in terms of like legal implication and all that. It's either you give it a try or you just die. Because at that point, the doctor already declared she only has 6 months to 12 months to live. And right now, as of this year, the doctor's been telling me, it's indefinite. As long as she doesn't catch any infection and all that, there is no, we don't put a date, in terms of like when she's going to go and things like that. And to me, I was so encouraged, because I have a story to tell. I have a story to encourage people. So I always have a very soft spot for people who has loved ones suffering from cancer or from very, 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 very bad sicknesses, or even parents with special needs children. Because I went through that myself, and I know how painful it was. And I also, it made me a lot more empathetic towards people who are suffering. So I wanted to be able to provide a place for people to chill, for people to de-stress, and just, feel good and things like that, that they don't have to they can put aside their worries for a while, and then just enjoy the whole process in terms of baking or even doing art stuff, painting and stuff like that. Yeah, because I always wanted to do something like that. Yeah.
I believe that whatever you have shared really is, I would say one thing to sum up is really hope that that's something that we can take away from what you have shared, because like even your mom have the liver cancer, your children are special need, but because of faith and love, that that there's a hope that is there, and you
Yeah.
and you believe in that, and you go for it, and now you are paying it forward because you have a, like you say, you have a story, you have a testimonial to share with people, not to give out on any hope. Anything is possible. And also like how you pursue your passion, and by pursuing your passion, it makes you a happier person. and and things happen for a reason, because by going all through all these challenges and all these struggles, handling your children, handling your mom's liver cancer, it makes you a better person. You makes you a stronger person, a stronger mom, a stronger wife, a stronger daughter. That's what I see after you have shared, because I believe if you look back to the Sharon back then, she may not be as strong as who you are today, the Sharon
Yeah,
of today.
definitely.
Because
Definitely.
I guess for any mothers, for any women who's going through all that, most of them would have already be devastated, already broke down, meltdown, whatever, deep depression. But for you, because of faith and because of love, you have overcome all that. Definitely, it's not the end. Life is still really long. But I see that you are now pursuing your passion, being more empowering, and also having the courage, because with you stepping into entrepreneurship, I believe that you have the flexibility and also the freedom to manage your time according to your children's
Yeah.
schedule,
Yeah,
and
that
also
was the reason why I didn't want to go back to full-time
corporate. Yeah.
job or even part-time, because it's very difficult for me to take time off. So every alternate Mondays,
Mm,
I have to bring my mom to for her cancer appointments, and I'm very thankful that I have a very good family support system.
mm,
Sometimes my brother will bring my mom instead, and then I have my two aunties who step in as well, lah, especially
mm,
my second aunt. She may sometimes, especially after I start learning arts, before I got back to full-time employment, right?
mm.
I used to take care of that part myself. In that sense, I'll bring her for the whole day and things like that. So my aunt has been like stepping up in terms of like helping me to bring her for relieving me for the afternoon
Yeah.
session where she's going through her treatment and things like that. Yeah.
Mm. And I believe that because there's a lot of parents out there that feel that, hey, I do not have support, I do not have support from family members and all that. But it's always that case that something tragic happen, and people start to feel that, hey, they need help, and when they ask for help, they really have help. And this is what I see in a lot of my friends who's going through tough times, that in the past they always tell me, Kenneth, nobody will help us, we have to depend on ourselves. But when at that point that they need help, there are always people who are willing to step in to really help you. And also, as long as you have the belief, you have the faith in um, in seeking for help, because a
Mm.
lot of time we especially being Asian, we always have this ego or pride of not asking for people, because when we ask people for help, we always felt that we are labeling ourselves as weak, as someone who's not capable of doing things, like it's very like kind of what we in Asia we call it loose face. That means we are losing our pride, and it's not
Yeah.
very something reputable to do. But in
It
fact,
is
we are just human.
correct, because I think sometimes humility is very, very important in our life. It's not easy, but I guess humility is one of the greatest lessons that we need to learn,
Yeah.
because we live in a community. We are not living in a cave or something. We need to ask for help,
Yeah.
especially times when I'm struggling. I mean, I went through a period where I'm also, suffering from depression and all that. But I had God to count on. I know I can go to Him in prayers. I know I can have my church family to rely on. I have somebody I can go to. Comparing to a lot of my other friends, I'm very blessed. And I mean, sometimes people will ask, don't you feel that, why all the bad things seems to happen to you? But I don't see it that way, because to me is there were a lot of positive lessons I learned from all this.
All right.
I'm not saying that I'm rejoicing that my mom has cancer, but because of her condition, she accepted Christ, and I have prayed 20 over years for her to accept Christ.
Yeah.
I have never tried to preach to her all these years, and I just knew that, sometimes you need to go through a very, very, very difficult or very, very trying moment before you realize that you cannot do anything with your own strength, and you need God. And that was the point that my mom finally accepted Christ. And she said yes to me before she went through the major liver operation, just one day before she went through the op. And my Hokkien is terrible. I can't preach to her. I only say, Ma, do you want Jesus to protect you during the operation? And that's all I said to her. And she said yes. And then we said the prayer, and that's it. So trust me, I've brought her for so many outreach events. So many people have spoken to her. My pastor has preached to her in Hokkien. It doesn't work. My uncle has shared with her. It doesn't work.
Correct. Sometimes it's the timing, really.
It's the timing, and it's also like you need to go through that the lowest season of your life before you realize that you need God. And my mom went through that, and she knows she needed God. And so she accepted Christ. And I think that also helped to change her, because I told you that a few months ago she was before she went for op, and after her op, when the doctor said, do you want to try out this clinical trial, she was a very different person. We all expected her to say no, but she did. She said yes, and she was doing great. She has very, very good appetite. She's got zero side effects. So it's just amazing looking at her. She's just like a walking miracle.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm very glad that I have, a great encouragement. And I think she's somebody that, always encourages me that there's miracles in this world. So whenever I go through a hard time, or whenever I see people suffering, and all that, I always use a testimony to encourage people. Yeah. So and I think it does. People always think that cancer is like a death sentence. But to me, cancer is not a death sentence. To me, cancer is somewhat a merciful way of eventually dying, because rather than you suddenly get hit by a sudden heart attack, and you don't have a chance to say goodbye to your loved ones, I have the privilege of spending more time with her, and I think that's very valuable.
Yeah, what you say is right, and then this is what we have also discussed in our previous Zoom meeting. That means a pre-interview, and this is I would say is true, because both of us agree that when this thing happened, we are able to have the time to reconcile with them, reconciliate with them, and also to do the things that we have wanting to do with them, but we never done it in a lot of years. Because a lot of times we say, oh, mommy, I want to bring you to this place, I want to bring you to here and all that stuff, but we didn't in our lifetime. Only when things happen, and you mentioned that it's so sudden if someone died in their sleep, or someone passed away in their sleep, or someone had a heart attack, and that's it. You don't even have the chance to reconcile with them, and also to make it up for them, or maybe to really spend that moment with them, or even hear the last word from them. And I believe that even like someone with cancer with a few months to live, it's a chance for us to really make use of the time. And that's where a lot of people, although they may not be the one that is being affected by the cancer, but they are being, I would say, liberated from it, because they say finally they are open up that, hey, life is so fragile, life is so short, and sometimes even you are perfectly healthy, but things just short on you. Like you face it in a very positive manner, that hey, now I still have a chance, as compared to those who don't even have a chance to say goodbye to their loved ones, and they just leave. That's even more, I would say, more disheartening. But at least now, with that mindset, and know that hey, this is a time for me to make up, or a time for me to really spend more time with my mother, and all this love, all this hope, it create a miracle, because with all this effort, and for you to really manage, and even to pursue your passion, for your daughter, for your mom. I believe this is the contribution of you, moving out from the norm, because a lot of us just feel that, oh, I need the bread and butter, I need the income, I need the money. If not in Singapore, there's always a saying that in Singapore, how can you do without a job, or how can you do with one single income? So, but when you face this kind of situation, I believe every one of us would be, it would be very hard for us to make the decision. But the most conscious decision, I believe, is to spend more time with our loved ones before time really runs out. I believe that is what we both of us believe in, and we also want to share with a lot of audience and listeners out there.
Yeah, that's true. Um, Other than that, I have another dream, which is I hope that I will be able, like that when my business picks up, when God blesses my business, I hope to be able to bring the joy of baking to the less privileged countries, like through
Mm,
mission trips and all that,
mm,
where you can, bring some bakes, or bring some simple baking classes over there and
mm,
teach the mummies or the children over there, and impart some joy, because I think that in Singapore we're very blessed.
yep.
We have a lot of options. There's a lot of schools out there, but in a lot of these, like the less privileged countries, like places like East Timor and all that, the villages and all that, they are not so well equipped. So I hope that I will be able to bring there, and hopefully my daughters will also be able to go with me,
Mm,
and then we can serve God together lah, as a
yep.
family and all that, because I also want them to see and appreciate what they have in Singapore, to look at some of these children where they have so little,
Yeah.
but yet they are so contented
Mm,
that they don't have to compare that, yeah, but I don't have this and all that, where these children out there, they need more of more of our love and
correct.
our care and all that lah, to share and some impart some hope. So definitely one of the purpose of me wanting to get on this show is I hope to find like-minded people,
Mm,
in future, if let's say, if we do organize a trip and then we want to do some of this, then I can have people working alongside with me, because right now I'm
mm.
working on my own. It's quite tiring. Sometimes there's a lot of things to be
It,
done. So,
uh,
the good things that you wanted to do, it's always good to have extra pairs of hands to help out. Yeah.
Definitely, and I believe that now you are just starting out, just the beginning, and definitely there's still a long way to go. But not to be afraid, because that's also the purpose why I started Mother Industrialist live show, where I
Mm,
interview mompreneurs from all around the world, where you can learn from them. Like for you, you're starting off. For most
mm,
of them that I've interviewed, they have years of experience. They even has very good tips for entrepreneurship, especially as a mom.
mm,
And that's where like doing 40 over episodes to now, I myself, I've learned a lot. And that's where I could also help mompreneurs like you, how you can manage your business at the same time. And time really flies, and I really appreciate Sharon for sharing all these really deep emotional stories of her own, and all the miracles and all the things that I believe things happen for a reason. And Sharon is one very living testimonials that there are a lot of things happen to her, but she's still very positive with God, with her faith, or for whoever that has maybe your spiritual belief or your higher power, you can always seek them for help. And because there's always so much that we ourselves as human beings we can do, and yeah, the one that we should look for to seek for help. And also last but not least, time really flies. And Sharon, maybe you can share with us how can the audience get connected with you, or maybe how they can find out more about your school, the courses, the workshop that you're having.
Okay, you can actually connect with us, like us, or follow us on our Facebook page, which is Learning ArtZ. Learning, and then arts is spelled is capital ART, capital Z,
Mm,
and then hyphen baking and culinary. N is a short form N.
mm,
Okay. From there, I will post most of my baking and cooking classes. Then learning arts is more the arts and craft or things like food photography and stuff like that. So the other non-baking related classes will be on the other Facebook page. So later I will also give Kenneth the link to
mm,
the Ver Local booking page where
mm,
it showcase a list of our workshops. So when you get into that page, you'll see a listing of all the workshops. That's a lot easier to run through as compared to Facebook. Okay, so if you need any encouragement, or if you want a copy of my mom's testimony to encourage any of your friends who may have people or loved ones suffering from cancer, just feel free to reach out to me via messenger, on my Facebook. I can send a copy of the testimony to you, and I can guarantee you that it will really encourage your friends. So this the purpose, one of the reasons why I wanted to start out this school, is to encourage more people,
yep.
to bring hope and warmth and love to people.
Mm,
So last but not least, I want to part with this verse, which is in First Corinthians 13:7, verse 7, which is the New Living Translation. Love never gives up, never loses faith, is always hopeful, and endures through every circumstance. So if you don't give up, there's always hope.
yep.
So that's what I want to leave with the audience today. Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Sharon. Thanks for sharing such um, a good, I would say, something that from the heart that you're sharing with us, and your experiences, and also your motivation for a lot who are going through a lot of tough and struggles and challenges, especially as a parent, as a mother, and also as maybe a daughter that is going through all the tough times in your family. And also now we are coming to almost the end of the show. And like I mentioned in the beginning, there's a tradition of the day. There's a tradition that Mother Industrialist has, which is every guest get to post the question of the day out to the audience and also to the next guest. So Sharon, are you ready with your question of the day?
Okay, I think I should be merciful to the next guest.
No, it can be any question that is revolving around entrepreneurship, parenting, or life, or it can be any burning question that you want to ask regarding about your business.
Okay.
So
Okay,
what is
I
it?
guess the next question I'll pose is, what matters most to you?
Wow,
What
short and sweet.
gets you out of bed every day?
What matters the
What's
most?
most to you, and what
Mm,
gets you out of bed every day?
what matters the most to you,
And what
and
gets you out of bed?
what gets you
You
out
out
of
of bed
bed?
every day.
Wow. Okay, so I repeat the question of the day posted by Sharon is, what matters the most to you, and what gets you out of the bed every day? So this question go out to the audience and also out to the next guest. So thanks Sharon for sharing for all this sharing that you have shared with us to in this one coming to 1 hour show. And thanks for all the emotional and for the touching stories, the miracle, the hope that you have shared with us. And also how have faith and love drive you in your business, and I believe in your personal life at the same time. And last but not least, any last advice for the mothers who are sitting on the fence thinking whether they should pursue their passion or they should step into entrepreneurship? Any last advice for them?
I guess my learning, some of the tips or pointers I've learned over the last 1 year is basically you need to do a lot of research, and you need to ask yourself a lot of hard questions, whether you're prepared to ride out the very tough seasons. As you know that every startup, especially if you have rent issues, fixed costs and all that, that's the thing that always come crushing over you every month. So that's something, the pressure that you have to go through, and you need to ask yourself whether mentally you're prepared to do that, whether you have very good family support. Like I'm very blessed because my husband is very, very supportive. But he's also my biggest critic. He will ask, are you sure? Are you sure what you're doing is the right thing, and things like that? Yeah, so I kind of appreciate that as well. So you need to ask all the hard questions, and you need to basically weigh your pros and cons. For me, is I was driven by my passion. I wanted to do something to help my community, and I also have some constraints where I need some flexi time to juggle my schedule, so I don't have very much option. Okay, so so I guess really doing your homework, doing your sums, your finances and all that, and seeking the right advice. Ask all the questions. Don't hesitate to ask all the questions, and humble yourself. It does not hurt at all to ask people for help, really. Yeah.
And really thanks a lot, because for Sharon, who's just stepped into entrepreneurship, start a business, I believe this is what she's going through, and she has done a lot of due diligence, of a lot of thoughts, a lot of discussion, and she also mentioned the most important thing is to have the support system, which is to be in place, and nevertheless the family members get involved, because there's always a saying that it takes a village to raise a child. It also takes a whole family or a big team to really to build a business. So I really want to thank Sharon for sharing such a great, inspiring, motivating testimonials and stories in today's show. I really appreciate it, and that's also the reason why I'm so passionate on bringing Sharon onto the show to share all this, to really hype you up, to really inspire you. So thanks Sharon thanks Sharon for making time to come onto the show and share all this. And thanks for those who are watching and listening to Mother Industrialist live show, where we talk about entrepreneurship, parenting, and life. So for those who want to grab a copy of my book, you can go onto the link as Sharon has shared. She based on her passion to drive her to do the business, because she want to pursue her passion. And also last but not least, also with the other two P's, which is purpose and also profit. You can grab a copy down at bit.ly/motherindustrialist link to find out more and to hear more inspiring mompreneur stories. And once again, I have to thank Sharon for making time, and thanks for those who are coming on live. Thank you very much. And for those who are listening, thank you for tuning in, and thanks for coming on. And last but not least, Kenneth here signing off with Sharon. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. See you guys. Thanks, Sharon.
Thanks, Kenneth. Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.